I'm Jamie Hooper with the Home Advantage team and RE/MAX Select Properties, and we are here today to talk about the history of Vancouver real estate going all the way back to 1977. But before we do that, I'd just like to remind you, if you get any value from these videos, enjoy them at all, please click a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or maybe make a comment down below. So quick glance at this graph behind me that goes all the way back to 1977. And the line we're going to follow here today is the blue line, and that is for detached prices. And I'm going to give you a condensed version to show you what's happened to the Vancouver real estate market over the last 47 years. So going back all the way to 1977, we can see that the average selling price for a house, a detached house in Vancouver, Greater Vancouver, believe it or not, was about $80,000. And then what we had was an economic boom, a housing boom between January of 1980 and January of 1981. So in 1980, in January, the cost of a house was approximately $86,000 for the average house in the Lower Mainland. A year later, it had doubled, more than doubled. It was up to $177,000. And then what happened, similar to what happened to us a couple of years ago, but not as dramatically, is interest rates went up. Interest rates went through the roof from around 7% in 1977 to a high of 21%. And this crushed the real estate market. It took the average selling price a year later then down to about $110,000. We had about a 40 to 50% drop depending where you were. And this really killed the market till about 1986 when the World's Fair in Vancouver happened. It was a tremendous success, and that's when Vancouver changed. That's when real estate, after real estate, the World's Fair, real estate started to go crazy. And this continued along till about 1994. From 87 to 94, we had a real rise in housing prices. And then what happened, by 1994, BC was in the middle of three scandal-filled governments in a row. From the Social Credit Party to the NDP Party, I'm not singling anyone out, we just had real economic malaise in Vancouver between 1994 and 2001. While the rest of North America was booming and economically, and their housing markets didn't happen in British Columbia, it didn't happen in Vancouver especially. In 2001, a couple of things happened to change the market. First of all, in the spring of 2001, there was a new government. The NDP had been in for 10 years, and I guess everyone figured that a change of government would help and spur the market on. So in May of that year, when the government changed, the phones started to ring like I had not seen them ring. I became a realtor just before the market slowed down in 1994, so I didn't know anything different. I just thought real estate was always that way. I used to have 25 listings at a time because they might get shown a couple of times a month each. There was very few buyers out there. Changed overnight in 2001. Phones started to ring that summer like I had never seen them ring before. And then September 11th happened in the fall of 2001, and believe it or not, that's what made our markets take off here. And I want to give you an example of how things that happen on the other side of the world, other side of the country, other side of the continent, can affect our market. So how could September 11th affect the Greater Vancouver real estate market? September 11th happened on a Monday or a Tuesday. I can't remember exactly what day of the week it was, but they closed the New York Stock Exchange for the remainder of the week because they didn't know what would happen to the markets. They were worried about them crashing. The Americans then did some very aggressive interest rate hikes, which the Canadians had to follow suit, as we always do. And all of a sudden, if you could muster up a down payment, it was cheaper to own a house than to rent. And most of the homes at that time you could buy with 5% down because properties were so cheap. The market shot straight up for the next 7 years until we came to the U.S. banking crisis. The U.S. banking crisis was supposed to be the end of the world and financial Armageddon, and we're going to be into recessions, depressions, etc. didn't happen. By the end of 2009, prices went down when the banking crisis, when it was first coming to fruition, all of the repercussions of it, and the market slowed for that 12-month period between the summer of '08 and the summer of '09. However, by the end of 2009, prices had come back to even where they were before the U.S. banking crisis happened. So markets were strong again till 2011. Then another outside force affected our market here, the tsunami in Japan. The tsunami on the other side of the world slowed our market down here. As we know, we're influenced a lot by outside markets, and a lot of the people felt that certain parts of Vancouver may fall into the ocean if there was ever a serious earthquake here. So market slowed down for a couple of years, started to rebound in 2013, shot straight up again till 2016 when the foreign buyers tax was implemented. The foreign buyers tax was implemented, slowed our markets down till 2019, and then from 2019 to the spring of 2022, markets went crazy again. Interest rates then went up through 2022, and several small hikes, I think there was half a dozen of them at least, slowed the market down, excuse me, from that point. So that brings us to where we are today. Now, prices since the interest rate hikes have actually gone up, believe it or not, which leads me to wonder, what would have happened if these interest rate hikes didn't happen? Would the market have just gone absolutely, who knows what it would have happened? Now, the latest Bank of Canada meeting yesterday, they've held the rates steady again. My thoughts are that if they had dropped them, we could see this thing take off, and there is anticipation of the rates coming down later this year. So what did we learn from going back to this graph? What did we learn from this graph? And I think we've learned a few things. First of all, that real estate is a long-term play. If you can see, there's been several ups and downs for the market through there. Certain times during this, in the first decade of this year, 2000 to 2010, lots of people were playing the housing market around here like the stock market. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll buy at the right time, and you may make money in 1 year and be able to sell it and turn a profit. Most of the time, real estate is a long-term play, and that's what this graph tells you. The second thing is that I learned from this graph is the Vancouver market always comes back. Every time there's a setback, it always comes back. Why does it come back? Because there's a housing shortage. 50,000 people come to the Lower Mainland every year, and we already have a housing shortage in a city that is landlocked. To me, that tells me that Vancouver will always be a great long-term investment for real estate. I'm Jamie Hooper with the Home Advantage team and RE/MAX Select Properties. I hope you got some value out of this video. If we can be of any service to you by helping you sell your home or find a property, please let us know, and we'll be back to do another video for you soon.